Hello, welcome to my 3-minute presentation. This is Broadway Avery with my work on Mean Girls. Collages. So I'd like to introduce you to the first collage or first set of collages. This collage and the four after this speak to the environment and the world that Mean Girls actually is going to take place in. It is set in Santa Monica, California, which is SoCal, also known as Southern California. And it's during 2011, so it's only about 8 years ago. Still a lot different in terms of dressing um, from the present contemporary time. So if you look, you'll see that there's, of course, palm trees and sun and beach. So when I think of the beach, I think a lot about people who are not only tanning and relaxing, but there's a level of pretentiousness there, and people feel entitled to a certain degree because they have this beach year round, and even as it gets cold at night, you still have an opportunity to see um, a warmer climate and be around the beach area. Clothing collages. Opening scene. So the opening scene, we find Katie wearing pajamas, and she's talking to her parents. And so after deliberating with Alina, I've decided to use a type of animal print that's more realistic on Katie's clothing. So it's very loose, and we want to show her beginning, the beginning of her journey as she transitions into a mean girl. So we want to make her feel very plain. So everything is kind of downplayed, and she's an innocent girl. So that's why you'll find this kind of collage for her clothing. The second scene that I've collaged is a traditional Halloween type of outfit. It's in the part where there's a Halloween party and Katie's so excited, and she's thinking innocently again because she's still at almost not the very beginning, but she's still towards the beginning of her journey. And so she's still thinking innocently, and she's not thinking slutty or, like the other girls. And so she comes in with a traditional scary outfit. And so I wanted to keep it very simple. You'll see a lot of pictures from Amazon because it's easy to purchase and then return if need be. No need to try to dye any clothing or anything like that. If something needed to be made, it would be very simple, and then of course the dye would be added. But this is the kind of style that I'm thinking of. The third collage is also a traditional scene or a traditional wear for a scene. And so it is at the Christmas assembly when the girls are singing, and she is definitely closer to being that mean girl. She's in the club now, and she's looking a little more sexy. And as teenagers get older, they want to show off their legs and their bodies. Females, we'll just talk about these girls here. So we have something that's a little more form fitting and still a tiny, I guess, hint of innocence. This is why I didn't in my renderings put down heels or anything like that, but just really showing off legs and a little bit of arms and whatnot. And there's a little play on the hat when you see the renderings, but wanted to stick to something a little traditional, but also a homemade feel. So again, these clothing can be procured from Amazon, or it could be made, or we could go to a thrift store, or even probably renting would might be ideal. We might be able to find something cute and kind of put together. So there's several options here. Of course, trying to lean into what is the least expensive but the best outcome. The last and final scene and final look, excuse me, is when Katie has her party. And so she has totally transitioned into the mean girl and what it means to be a mean girl, the whole look. And so I wanted her to look very attractive, much different from when we saw her in those pajamas in the opening scene. Uh, Definitely bright colors for nail polish, whether it's on the toes or on the fingernails, slight heels versus what we saw in the Christmas assembly. So taking her up even to another level of pretentiousness. And the hair color has changed from dark to lighter. She's more flirty. And so I just found it very playful. Still wanted to keep like an A line, to keep a more teenage young look and not so much form fitting, whereas she was in a club or something like that, even though it is a party, but it's a party versus being in a nightclub. So here we have the first rendering, excuse me. And again, as I had expressed, there is an animal print, and it refers back to her time in, I don't know if she was in South Africa, but I believe it was South Africa. And because of all of the safaris and just, the animals that were freely around, as in other nations within Africa, I wanted to kind of give that spin of her first, what do you want to say, her first appearance to the audience. And so seeing her in all of her innocence. She has no shoes on. That's also symbolic of being home, but also, I guess, being in one of the countries of Africa. Now, the second look is the Halloween outfit, the costume. And so again, we talked a little bit about, how you can either just purchase the item on eBay, Amazon, something cheap, or go to a renting space where you may be able to find something because it's traditional. Need be, if there was a purchase made, we would go maybe to a thrift shop and purchase an old gown that maybe is not that expensive, rat it up, put some dye on it, and it wouldn't be a big deal because that it wouldn't be that much money spent. Now, look three is also traditional. It is when the girls are at the Christmas assembly, and I wanted to be very playful with the whole holiday arrangement. So perhaps going to a renting space again, as we would with the Halloween costume, and just really looking for holiday um, inspired outfits. Worst case scenario, if something had to be made, joining maybe two hats together. If you notice, the hat is almost like a jester's hat. And so it's almost like the joke is on her. And just a nice little play on that. And then again, keeping that A line, keeping it very young and showing a lot of legs. Again, the heightened skirt represents just, where she is in her transition. The balls on the bottom, just making it very playful because this is who she really is at this point. And again, it's a very simple outfit to put together because it's traditional, and even the cut of the clothing is something that's already been done. Leg warmers that can be bought from H&M or something like that and returned. So money can be saved, and shoes that can be purchased again at maybe a contemporary store and returned, or worst case scenario, uh, having the rent shop, or even seeing if the actor themselves have anything to pay. Well, she's a principal actor, so I wouldn't have her do that, but just, even looking around at garage sales and things like that to see if there's anything available at a cheap price. And so here we have the final transition or rendering. We see Katie here representing her dress at the party. And so she's very cute. Again, we talked about it earlier with the A-line fit, showing a lot of leg, very classy, but again, very pretentious. The hair color has changed. It's much lighter. She's fully transitioned. She has on heels, and she's just someone else. She's a mean girl, you know? So the gold, I don't know, it just spoke to me with the lace and just showing like just very classy, but feeling like upper class, if you will. And so there you have it. There is my 3-minute presentation that's probably about 10 minutes long.